Today's Philadelphia Eagles Now is presented by Rhone. You can get 20% off site-wide by heading to Rhone.com/chatsports, but make sure you use the promo code ChatSports so that Rhone knows that ChatSports sent you. I'm wearing their commuter shirt. You can check out their commuter collection as well, which features dress shirts like this, quarter zips, polos, pants, and shorts. Rhone.com/chatsports, promo code ChatSports. As for what we're getting into on today's show, a lot of big-name free agents are still out there for the Philadelphia Eagles to sign, so we're going to take a look at the best available NFL free agents still out there on the market. Before we get started, though, want to thank the Bird Gang for supporting the show. Our goal to hit, which we just did, 43,000 subscribers. We're at 43,036 subscribers right now. Our next big goal, which really takes us into a completely different stratosphere among all YouTube channels out there, is 50,000 subscribers. Once we get to 100K, that's when YouTube sends you that plaque. So for those of you coming across the show for the first time, here's our sales pitch. I frankly don't believe that anybody is doing what we're doing because I take pride in what we do here on Eagles Now, and this is what we cook up for you. Daily shows, Eagles news, rumors, and analysis, live shows and watch parties. We really crush it when it comes to NFL free agency as well as the NFL draft. So lock us in, subscribe today. It's Philadelphia Eagles Now. I'm Chase Sr. So a couple of big-name free agents went off the board today. So we're getting creative here. We're looking at the top 17 remaining free agents, week 2 of NFL free agency. Ezekiel Elliott checking in at number 17. Taylor Lewan at 16, Isaiah Wynn at 15, and Jadeveon Clowney at number 14. Couple of players could fit the mold for Philadelphia here. Let's begin with Jadeveon Clowney. He could play in a 4-3 front. He could play in a 3-4 front. He can play edge. He can play defensive tackle as a hybrid option at this point of his career. That's why I'm somewhat intrigued by the idea. Now, he was drafted out of South Carolina. Everybody thought that him and J.J. Watt were going to take over the league. His sack production has never been elite, but he has been a game wrecker. Now, a lot of Eagles fans know him for that borderline dirty hit on Carson Wentz in the wild card round a couple of years ago in which he speared him into the ground. Then Josh McCown had to come in. And Clowney, since then, has kind of fallen off a little bit since 2019. With the Titans, he was bad, but off injured. In 2021, really good with 9 sacks. And in this past year, on an awful Browns defense, only registered 2 sacks in 12 games and pretty much wanted to leave the team at the end of the year because things weren't going well. Now, I think that Jadeveon Clowney could be brought in as a cheap depth piece. That's at least what I would explore if I was Philadelphia. You're starting defensive front. Yes, under Sean Desai, I expect them to run a little bit of a multiple front, 3-4, 4-3 hybrid. Of course, Hassan Reddick, technically, I guess, kind of an outside linebacker, pass rush specialist. But these are your 4 defensive linemen right there in Josh Sweat, Fletcher Cox. Jordan Davis obviously steps in for Javon Hargrave. And then you have Brandon Graham as well. And then Hassan Reddick here on your screen as a little bit of that Swiss Army knife defensive weapon. Why I like Jadeveon Clowney is because whether you go 3-4 or 4-3, he can play edge. He can play defensive tackle. And if he does slide to the interior like Brandon Graham does sometimes, you can take advantage and exploit some mismatches against some of these slower centers and guards on the interior of the opposing offensive line. Character issues, a little bit of a concern, but this guy plays like a dog. So which free agent do you want the Eagles to sign? We talked about Jadeveon Clowney. We're talking about a couple more players. Let me know down in the comment section right now. A lot more to get to, but first, let's tell you about Rhone. I'm wearing their commuter shirt. You see how flexible this material is and it doesn't wrinkle when I let go? That's what I love about this Rhone material. That's what I love about Rhone in general. And for the Bird Gang, 20% off your order at Rhone.com/chatsports. When I was working at WNEP up in Scranton, Pennsylvania for 3.5 years, sometimes I really struggled to find dress shirts that fit well, that had quality material, that would last a long time, and were high quality. And don't you hate dress shirts that are too loose, too long, don't fit right, and are made of that awful material? How about pants, right? It's such a pain when they're uncomfortable, tight, or too loose, never your size, and you can't match them with anything. Put an end to that with the Rhone Commuter Collection. The Rhone Commuter Collection offers the world's most comfortable pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, and polos, and you never have to worry about what to wear when you have the Rhone Commuter Collection. Mobility is everything. Rhone's comfortable four-way stretch fabric provides breathability and flexibility that leaves you free to enjoy whatever life throws your way. From your commute to work to 18 holes of golf, if you're in a cubicle or hosting shows on the set here at Chat Sports. 20% off your order, Rhone.com/Chat Sports. Real quick before we take a look at 13 through 9, some quick thoughts about Ezekiel Elliott here. With Zeke, a lot of fans have asked me about Ezekiel Elliott. Chase, are the Eagles going to bring him in? Let go by the Dallas Cowboys. Could he be that short yardage back, which they haven't really had over the last couple of years? Not only do I think that Ezekiel Elliott is really trending toward being washed, I don't think it makes sense for Philadelphia from a financial standpoint, and they basically brought in Rashad Penny to be that physical type of back. Now, he's been out of a lot of games over the last couple of years. Of course, that's a concern, but right now, you have 3 running backs, Rashad Penny, Kenny Gainwell, Boston Scott, who you are paying a combined $2.5 million to. If I'm going to go get a running back externally again, like you did with Rashad Penny, I'm just drafting Bijan Robinson at 30, or I'm moving up to take Bijan Robinson if he's there at like 25, because I think he's a transcendent player who could take this offense to another level. Back to the free agent list: Marcus Peters, Isaiah McKenzie, Myles Jack, Bud Dupree, and Poona Ford. Solid players here for varying degrees of interest. Marcus Peters, if he's available later on in the free agency process, I could see Philadelphia bringing him in if an injury happens. But right now, they're completely set on that back end. You brought back and restructured the deal for Darius Slay and James Bradbury. Both of those players the next 2 years, hovering about $10 million per year, by the way. Howie Roseman is a genius. You have Greedy Williams, you have Avonte Maddox. So unless an injury happens, you're not going to go the Peters route. Isaiah McKenzie, nice little Swiss Army knife at that wide receiver spot. I don't think that they're going to bring in another linebacker after going Nicholas Morrow. Poona Ford probably going to get more money at defensive tackle. Bud Dupree, though, this is what it comes down to. What happens with Derek Barnett? Is he able to come back off that torn ACL? Can the Eagles count on him? Can he stop making disastrous, dumbass penalties? I hope so, because I think that Derek Barnett at least offers you this. He could get after the opposing quarterback, right? So too can Bud Dupree, but he is injured way too much. Signed that monster deal with the Tennessee Titans, didn't have a lot to show for it. A combined 22 games over the last 2 years to go along with 7 sacks, but you look at 2020, that's what got him paid. 8 sacks, and the year before that, 11.5. He is so good at coming around that edge with bend and speed. Injuries, though, a big concern. So of the 2 defensive linemen who we talked about so far today, pick one that you would sign if you were in the shoes of Howie Roseman. JC for Jadeveon Clowney, BD for Bud Dupree. Let me know. 8 through 5, DJ Chark. If you're not confident in Quez Watkins to be that wide receiver 3, do you explore that possibility of DJ Chark? Maybe. I would have liked Rock Ya-Sin. It's a surprise to me that he's still out there, but again, the signaling that I get after signing Greedy Williams, looking for him to bounce back, tap into that potential of what the Browns saw in the second round of the draft in 2019 out of LSU, they're not going to go the Rock Ya-Sin route. Frank Clark, Dalton Risner. Now, you lose Isaac Seumalo. Could Risner be a guy? Yeah, maybe. That's a name to keep an eye out for, but I think they really like Cam Jurgens there, and I think that Risner could have starting opportunities elsewhere, not for Philadelphia. Frank Clark, though, is interesting for a couple of reasons. You've lost 2 starting safeties. You've lost 2 starting linebackers. Are you making up for the gaps there on the second and third levels of your defense by continuing to stack talent along that defensive front? Frank Clark is 3rd all-time in the history of the playoffs in sacks. So he really turns it on and shows up when the lights are the brightest. And even in the regular season, pretty solid player with some really good sack production. I'm interested to see what the price tag is here. I tend to believe that by retaining Brandon Graham, having Josh Sweat on that sizable deal, Derek Barnett coming back, Hassan Reddick having 19.5 sacks combined with the regular season and in the playoffs last year, they might be set with edge rusher as well. So that brings us to Leonard Floyd, 9 sacks in each of the last 3 years. Odell Beckham Jr. didn't play a year ago because of that torn ACL. Him as a wide receiver 3, gimme, gimme, gimme for an affordable price. Bobby Wagner, there's been some trails behind him going to Philly, but again, does Nicholas Morrow spell the end of that? And then Yannick Ngakoue, edge rusher for the Indianapolis Colts. Every year he's been in the league, at least 8 sacks. For Leonard Floyd, 9 sacks or more in each of his last 3 years, all coming with the Los Angeles Rams. Wasn't great for the Chicago Bears in 2019, but the last 3 campaigns, 10.5, 9.5, 9. Very good player. Somewhat of a slimmer frame at that edge rusher spot as compared to like a Brandon Graham or a Josh Sweat, but a very, very good player. Not a number 1 edge rusher, but a very good player. As for Odell Beckham Jr., man, I'm intrigued by this idea because I think if he's able to be your wide receiver 3, if you're an opposing defensive coordinator, how do you draw up a defense to stop Jalen Hurts in this ground game with this offensive line, with how well A.J. Brown played last year, best year in the history of this Eagles franchise for a wide receiver statistically, and then Devontae Smith is one of the more underrated wide receivers in the NFL, and then you have OBJ in the slot against smaller nickel slot corners and some slower linebackers, OBJ would be able to put on the afterburners. And even though he might have lost some speed with the second torn ACL, he played awesome down the stretch for the Los Angeles Rams a couple of years ago. That workout that he had in Arizona 2 Fridays ago, I thought he looked pretty good and was moving pretty swiftly. Yannick Ngakoue, it blows my mind that a guy of this caliber is still available out there. He's been in the league for 7 years. Each of those 7 seasons, he has had at least 8 sacks. Everybody wants to tell me he's not good against the ground game. Who cares, man? This is a pass-happy league nowadays in which you have quarterbacks slinging it all over the yard, and what does Yannick Ngakoue do? Hunts after those other quarterbacks. They could have used more of a pass rush against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Exactly right. And that's where Yannick Ngakoue does thrive. You look at this Eagles defensive line depth chart once again. Josh Sweat, 11 sacks last year. Fletcher Cox with 7. Brandon Graham with 11. Jordan Davis, pressure on you, young bull, to step up, show out, and be that guy to step in for Javon Hargrave. If he does it, and Hargrave leaves for $84 million to the San Francisco 49ers, and you have Jordan Davis on that rookie deal, that's yet another smart move by Howie Roseman. If you're still hanging out with us on the tail end of today's show, give me a real one down in the comment section because we certainly appreciate you, and that means that you're a real one. And if you want to join the real one movement here at Chat Sports, it started as a Chat Sports movement, then we spread it out to all of our team channels because y'all are real ones. If you're still watching, you're subscribed, you love us, you love the Philadelphia Eagles, get your shirts today. The dope, fresh, clean Kelly green, as well as the black shirt. Chatsports.com/Eagles. Real one, y'all are the best. Peace.